a 9-hour shift with no break. So hopefully this video turns out okay. I'm a little tired, but I'm gonna do a bit of whispering. I'm gonna read about the country of Honduras. And I've got this kind of like a breakfast wrap, even though it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, I think. And it's got like eggs and cheese and mayonnaise and hot sauce and some peppers in there. Also got a couple apples. Got one apple here. I have another apple here that I could be eating too, because this wrap's not gonna last long and I'm hungry. So, but without further ado, I'll get into it and stop wasting time. And now Honduras. Honduras, officially the Republic of Honduras, is a country in Central America. Honduras is bordered to the west by Guatemala, to the southwest by El Salvador, to the southeast by Nicaragua, to the south by the Pacific Ocean, at the Gulf of Fonseca, and to the north by the Gulf of Honduras, a large inlet, and of the Caribbean Sea. Its capital and largest city is Tegucigalpa. This is a good wrap, really. It's a spot, so this was a subscriber request, so if you have any requests, just let me know. I can't guarantee I'll do it, but I'm just drinking some tap water. Honduras was home to several important Mesoamerican cultures, most notably the Maya, before the Spanish colonization in the 16th century. The Spanish introduced Catholicism and the now predominant Spanish language, along with numerous customs that have been blended with the indigenous culture. Honduras became independent in 1821 and has since been a republic, although it has consistently endured much social strife and political instability and remains one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere. In 1960, the northern part of what was the Mosquito Coast was transferred from Nicaragua to Honduras by the International Court of Justice. The nation's economy is primarily agricultural, making it especially vulnerable to natural disasters, such as Hurricane Mitch in 1998. The lower class is primarily agriculturally based, while wealth is concentrated in the country's urban centers. Honduras has the Human Development Index of 0.625, classifying it as a nation with medium development. When adjusted for income inequality, its inequality-adjusted Human Development Index is 0.443. Honduran society is predominantly mestizo. However, there is also significant indigenous, black, and white communities in Honduras. I had no idea there was a significant white population in Honduras. That's interesting. The nation had a relatively high political stability until its 2009 coup, and again with the 2017 presidential election. Honduras spans about 112,492 kilometers squared, 43,433 square miles, and has a population exceeding 10 million. Its northern portions are part of the Western Caribbean zone, as reflected in the area's demographics and culture. Honduras is known for its rich natural resources, including minerals, coffee, tropical fruit, and sugarcane, as well as for its growing textiles industries, which serves the international market. Etymology. The literal meaning of the term Honduras is depths in Spanish. The name could either refer to the Bay of Trujillo as an anchorage, Fondura, in the Leonese dialect of Spain, or to Columbus's alleged quote that gracias a Dios que hemos salido de esas Honduras, thank God we have departed from those depths. It was not until the end of the 16th century that Honduras was used for the whole province. Prior to 1580, Honduras referred to only the eastern part of the province, and Higueras referred to the western part. Another early name is Guaymaras, revived as the name for the political dialogue in 2009 that took place in Honduras as opposed to Costa Rica. Hondurans are referred to as Catracho or Catracho femme in Spanish. History. Pre-colonial period. In the pre-Columbian era, modern Honduras was split between two pan-cultural regions, Mesoamerica in the west and Etymological area in the east. Each complex had a core area with Honduras, the Sella Valley for Mesoamerica, and Las Mosquitas for the Iso-Colombian area. And the intervening area was one of gradual transition. However, these concepts had no meaning in the pre-Columbian era itself and represent extremely diverse areas. The Lenca people of the interior highlands are also generally considered to be culturally Mesoamerican, though the extent of linkage with other areas varied over time. For example, expanding during the zenith of the Toltec Empire. In the extreme west, Maya civilization flourished for hundreds of years. The dominant, best known, and best studied state within Honduras borders was in Copan, which was located in a mainly non-Maya area, or the frontier between Maya and non-Maya areas. Copan declined with other lowland centers during the conflagrations of the Terminal Classic in the 9th century. The Maya of the civilization survive in western Honduras as the Chiorti, isolated from their Choletian linguistic peers to the west. such as Naco and La Sierra in the Naco Valley, Los Naranjos on Lake Joa, Umela in the Coma Yagua Valley, La Ceiba and Salitron Viejo, both now under Gajan Dam Reservoir, Celine Farm, and Coyamel in the Aguen Valley, the Cerro, Palentec, Travicia, Suresti, Ticamaya, Desponacal, and the Playa de los Muertos in the Ula River Valley, and many others. Man. In 2012, LiDAR scanning revealed that several previously unknown high-density settlements existed in La Mosquita, corresponding to the legend of La Ciudad Blanca. Excavation and study has since improved knowledge of the region's history. It is estimated that these settlements reached their zenith from 500 to 1000 AD. That's good stuff. Spanish conquest, 1524 to 1539. Okay, so on his fourth and final voyage to the New World in 1502, Christopher Columbus landed near the modern town of Trujillo, near Guaymareto Lagoon, becoming the first European to visit the Bay Islands on the coast of Honduras. On 30 July 1502, Columbus sent his brother Bartholomew to explore the islands, and Bartholomew encountered a Mayan trading vessel from Yucatan carrying well-dressed Maya and rich cargo. Bartholomew's men stole the cargo they wanted and kidnapped the ship's elderly captain to serve as its interpreter. In the first recorded encounter between the Spanish and the Maya, in March 1524, Gil Gonzalez de Villa became the first Spaniard to enter Honduras as a conquistador, followed by Hernan Cortes, who had brought forces from Mexico. Much of the conquest took place in the following 2 decades, first by groups loyal to Cristobal de Olid, and then by those loyal to Francisco de Montejo, but most particularly by those following Alvarado. In addition to Spanish resources, the conquerors relied heavily on armed forces from Mexico, Tlaxcalans, and Mexican armies of thousands who remained garrisoned in the region. Resistance to conquest was led in particular by Lampira. Many regions in the north of Honduras never fell to the Spanish, notably Mosquito Kingdom. After the Spanish conquest, Honduras Spanish Honduras, 1524 to 1821. Honduras was organized as a province of the Kingdom of Guatemala, and its capital was fixed first at Trujillo on the Atlantic coast, and later Comayagua, and finally La Tegucigalpa in the central part of the country. Silver mining was a key factor in the Spanish conquest and settlement of Honduras. Initially, the mines were worked by local people through the encomienda system, but as disease and resistance made this option less available, slaves from other parts of Central America were brought in. When local slave trading stopped at the end of the 16th century, African slaves, mostly from Angola, were imported. After about 1650, very few slaves or other outside workers arrived in Honduras. Although the Spanish conquered the southern or Pacific portion of Honduras fairly quickly, they were less successful on the northern or Atlantic side. They managed to found a few towns along the coast at Puerto Cabellos and Trujillo in particular, but failed to conquer the eastern portion of the region and many pockets of independent indigenous people as well. The Mosquito Kingdom in the northeast was particularly effective at resisting conquest. The Mosquito Kingdom found support from northern European privateers, pirates, and especially British, formerly English colony of Jamaica, which placed much of the area under its protection after 1740. Independence, 1821. Honduras gained independence from Spain in 1821 and was part of the First Mexican Empire until 1823, when it became part of the United Provinces of Central America. It has been an independent republic and has held regular elections since 1838. In the 1840s and 1850s, Honduras participated in several failed attempts at Central American unity, such as the Confederation of Central America, 1842 to 1845, the Covenant of Guatemala, 1842, the Diet of Sonsonate, 1846, and the Diet of Nakome, 1847, and national representation in Central America, 1849 to 1852. Although Honduras eventually adopted the name Republic of Honduras, the unionist ideal never waned, and Honduras was one of the Central American countries that pushed the hardest for a policy of regional unity. A and soon foreign interests became involved, first in shipping from the north coast, especially tropical fruit and most notably bananas, and then building railroads. In 1888, a projected railroad line from the Caribbean coast to the capital, Tegucigalpa, ran out of money when it reached San Pedro Sula. As a result, San Pedro grew into the nation's primary industry center and the second largest city. Comayagua was the capital of Honduras until 1880, when the capital moved to Tegucigalpa. Since independence, nearly 300 small international rebellions and civil wars have occurred in the country, including some change of regime. Century and the role of American companies. In the late 19th century, Honduras granted land and substantial exemptions to several U.S.-based fruit and infrastructure companies in return for developing the country's northern regions. Thousands of workers came to the north coast as a result to work in banana plantations and other businesses that grew up around the exporting industry. Banana exporting companies dominated until 1930 by the Guayamel Fruit Company. As well as the United Fruit Company and Standard Fruit Company, built an enclave economy in northern Honduras, controlling infrastructure and creating self-sufficient tax-exempt sectors that contributed relatively little to economic growth. American troops landed in Honduras in 1903, 1907, 1911, 1912, 1919, 1924, and 1925. In 1904, the writer O. Henry coined the term Banana Republic to describe Honduras, publishing a book called Cabbages and Kings about the fictional country Anchuria, inspired by his experiences in Honduras, where he had lived for 6 months. In the Admiral, O. Henry refers to the nation as a small maritime banana republic. Naturally, the fruit was the entire basis of its economy. According to a literary analyst writing for The Economist, his phrase neatly conjures up the image of a tropical agrarian country, but its real meaning is sharper. It refers to the fruit companies from the United States that came to exert extraordinary influence over the politics economics of Honduras and its neighbors. In addition to drawing Central American workers north, the food companies encouraged immigration of workers from the English-speaking Caribbean, notably Jamaica and Belize, which introduced an African-descended, English-speaking and largely Protestant population into the country. Although many of these workers left following changes to immigration law in 1939, Honduras joined the Allied Nations after Pearl Harbor on 8 December 1941 and signed the Declaration of United Nations on 1st January 1942, along with 25 other governments. Constitutional crises in the 1940s led to reforms in the 1950s. One reform gave workers permission to organize, and a 1954 general strike paralyzed the northern part of the country for more than 2 months, but led to reforms. In 1963, a military coup unseated democratically elected President Ramon Villeda Morales. In 1960s, the northern part of what was the Mosquito Coast was transferred from Nicaragua to Honduras by the International Court of Justice. I'll read a little bit about culture, and then I'll, art. The most renowned Honduran painter is Jose Antonio Velasquez. Other important painters include Carlos Garay and Roque Zelaya. Some of Honduras' most notable writers are Lucia Gamero de Medina, Froilan Turquoise, Ramon Mia Amador, and Juan Pablo Suazo Ucida, Marco Antonio Rosa, Roberto Sosa, Eduardo Bar, Amanda Castro, Javier Abril Espinosa, Teofilo Trejo, and Roberto Quesada. The Jose Francisco Sabi Theater in San Pedro Sula is home to the Circulo Teatral San Pedrano Theatrical Circle of San Pedro Sula. Honduras has experienced a boom from its film industry for the past 2 decades since the premiere of the movie Anita La Cazadora de Insectos in 2001. The level of Honduran productions has increased, many collaborating with countries such as Mexico, Colombia, and the U.S. The most well-known Honduran films are El Sandra, amor y frijoles, and café con aroma a mi tierra. Cuisine. Honduran cuisine is a fusion of indigenous Lanka cuisine, Spanish cuisine, Caribbean cuisine, and African cuisine. There are also dishes from the Garifuna people. Coconut and coconut milk are featured in sweet and savory dishes. Regional specialties include fried fish, tamales, carne asada, and paletas. Other popular dishes include meat roasted with chismol and carne asada, chicken with rice and corn, and fried fish with pickled onions and jalapenos. Some of the ways seafood and meats are prepared in coastal areas and in the Bay Islands involve coconut milk. The soups of Hondurans enjoy include bean soup, mondongo soup, tripe soup, seafood soups, and beef soups. Generally, these soups are served mixed with plantains, yuca, and cabbage, and served with corn tortillas. Other typical dishes are the mantucas, or corn tamales, stuffed tortillas, and tamales wrapped in plantain leaves. Honduran typical dishes also include an abundant selection of tropical fruits such as papaya, pineapple, plum, zapote, passion fruit, and bananas, which are prepared in many ways while they are still green.